Hello, everybody. This is Eric Lee with Curtis Akeem McCullough. We are co-servants here at the Springfield Baptist Church in Conyers, Georgia, and we're thankful that you're tuning in to us today. We're thankful for this new episode of the Handoff, this intergenerational conversation, which involves the kingdom of God and God's church. And we're thankful for the Lenten season that's begun, and we're thankful that God has given us direction. It's called This Is My Extra. Get out there and do something extra, for the kingdom of God and for your walk with the Lord. I want to welcome you again. Just send a shout out to the people.
Yeah. Welcome once again. You all have been tuning in. I appreciate it personally. We appreciate it because I was wondering if people was going to watch this thing. But now that we know people are watching it, we got to give y'all some good episodes, I guess.
Yes. Your viewership matters. So please share the podcast with other people. It's inspiring us to continue the conversation. And today, here we are, post Super Bowl, and we have just been treated to what is considered the most watched television program in the history of TV. 123.7 million people watched this year's Super Bowl. And it's the most watched program. I think, it's estimated that as many as 650 million people watched the landing on the moon and men walking on the moon.
Wow.
In 1969. That was the whole world watching almost.
Right.
But as far as a television program, this is it. And I want to ask you, as an entertainer and as a something of a cultural expert, if you will.
Okay.
Why do you think what converged? What had to hit in order for this high water mark to be made?
I just feel like it was a whole bunch of elements outside of football that brought people in. So, for example, we have Taylor Swift, who is probably the highest producer of music as it relates to reaching people in the world. You have a Taylor Swift who is dating that football player. I don't know his name, and I'm not good with football.
Kelsey.
Yeah,
Travis Kelsey.
You have Taylor Swift at every game.
Yeah.
You have a Kanye West who did you see Kanye West commercial, by the way?
I didn't.
Okay. You have a Kanye West who made sure he became a part of the festivities by buying seats in front of Taylor Swift. I don't know how that happened, but he did. You have Usher, who is probably the greatest entertainer of our time, personally, of this time right here. Then you have the anticipation of what does the halftime look like, and then you have a great football game that the masses are going to watch regardless. So just different elements pulled different people in for different reasons, but it all culminated in just...
So let's unpack it.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest thing to move the needle was Taylor Swift.
You think so?
That to me, I think that's the biggest thing.
Are you a Swiftie?
I'm not a Swiftie. I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell you two songs that Taylor Swift sings. Is she the one that does the shake, shake, shake? See, I don't. I'm sure she's a very talented. I'm sure she's very talented. And I kind of like her independent kind of the way she carries herself.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way she's taking some risks of being of believing in her political stance. Even though people suggested that, hey, it might hurt your sales, it might hurt your ticket sales. But I understand that she's bought. I mean, she's had billions
Yeah.
of people
Yeah.
come to her tour.
Mm-hmm.
I think a billion in the States.
Been States.
No, we don't have a billion people here.
Yeah.
Around the world, that there's been a billion sales.
Dr. Lee, you sound like a Swiftie a little bit.
No, I was just,
Just
I do tangential reading sometimes. I go on a tangent. And when Beyonce was here, I was reading about her tour.
okay,
I was
got you.
reading Taylor Swift's tour, which was happening simultaneously.
Yeah,
And she draws a crowd,
she does.
and she's still drawing a crowd,
She does.
and people love her all over the world. And I think, the fact that she left Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
she left Tokyo to come back across the international date line to go be with her. She went back from the future
Yeah.
to be with her man at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So do you think that? Well, I guess I know the answer, but do you think her man benefits from being with her? Like, do you think that took him to another level?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you know now the haircut that he has? They're now calling it the Kelsey fade now.
I used to have a fade like that 40 years ago.
They call it the Kelsey fade. But yeah, Taylor Swift definitely has a following.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I guess I'm skipping to the big part. What do you think Usher had to do with it?
Well, certainly Usher. Usher moved Black America, and Usher has fans around the world too. He's not at Beyonce and Swift's level
I
in
don't think
terms
he's at Beyonce.
talented wise. I'm just saying in terms of fan.
No, I'm saying
I don't know that
Usher
to be
and
the
Beyonce.
case.
You don't think?
I don't think they're even neck and neck. I mean,
I
knew
don't know.
about the Beehive. I mean, Beyonce,
You don't know about the Usher board? You don't know about the Usher board? That's what they calling
Beyonce-
it now.
Yeah, see, he just got a name. His followers just got a name. They've been the Beehive for a long time.
They have.
I don't know what the numbers are, but sometimes you can be close to greatness and not know it's great. And I think with us being from Atlanta, sometimes we don't give our own their due. And I think the show was absolutely amazing.
Yes, it was.
Skating.
Marching band.
It looked like marching band. I think there was some
Jackson State.
Divine Nine representation.
Yep.
I think
the Kappas.
there was, some kind of circus stuff going on. Some Cirque du Soleil stuff happening. There was a lot of effects.
Alicia Keys.
Oh,
Jesus.
Oh, let's not forget the brother got married on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a weekend, did he not?
Well, okay. Yeah. I'll leave that. Yeah. He got married, had the show. Do we want to touch on Alicia Keys?
I think he did touch on Alicia.
No.
So yeah. I think you put something out about, hey, we need to teach Usher how to.
We got to get rid of Usher, man. We got to get rid of Usher.
Because Alicia Keys is married, right?
Yeah.
And now we know that Usher was married for a day. He got married the day before the Super Bowl. So
I just couldn't see my wife even from an entertainment space.
Yeah.
Ain't no work husband. Ain't no work husband. I don't want to hear that. Yeah. But no, the show overall was amazing. Jackson State, the sonic boom of the South. I don't know how Dr. Little got those kids to keep it quiet, but nobody knew.
Wow.
Nobody knew. We was all looking like, people hitting me up like, what band is this? And I'm like, I have no idea.
How'd they keep that quiet?
I mean, now I will say this, not to get too deep into the barrel, but Dr. Little is one of those band directors that don't play.
Yeah.
So he probably was watching their social media like a hawk, and if you was to say anything, you probably wouldn't have been able to go. I'm just speculating. I don't know. So with Dr. Little being one of the more serious band directors, those kids respect him. And I think they knew the magnitude of what this was, because for band culture, and this is going to turn to that conversation, but for band culture, this was big because this is the first time in a long time. FAMU has done a Super Bowl. Grambling has done a Super Bowl. Their bands. But with the help of social media, this is the first time that my generation of people have seen a band be showcased on such a huge stage that transcended just band stuff. Normally, when you see a band on a platform, it's for band stuff.
Yeah.
So for Usher to take a band from Jackson, Mississippi, bring them all the way out west, and put them on the floor, just imagine what that does for that band program and that school.
Yeah. Yeah.
A school that needed this. Let's just be real about it. A school that needed that. So now, sky's the limit.
It's always a tale of a person's character that when they reach a certain platform, that they're reaching back to grab people with them, and Usher did that.
And I think that was very intentional. I do think picking Jackson State was very intentional because
he wanted to uplift the whole city of Atlanta too.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, 100% of the production people were all from Atlanta, from what I read. He only used
tithes and offerings ought to be up this week in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, he only used Atlanta people for the production. So Usher brought a lot of people.
Yeah.
With him. So kudos to Usher for putting on for Atlanta. Everybody he used aside from Jackson. Most of those kids in the band are from Atlanta too.
Yeah.
They recruit heavy in Atlanta band wise. So he took Atlanta out west.
And then I think he added some shows to his tour that's coming here in August.
Yes.
Okay.
He added 2 more dates.
And I think he released an album for the first time in 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really cashing in on the visibility of being the Super Bowl show.
I got a question for you, not to cut you off. It's a funny question, but it's a real question. I've observed how petty Beyonce and Jay-Z could be. I've observed. I want to break something down to you. I was telling my friend this, and he didn't believe me till we looked back. Every time Nas drops an album, Jay-Z drops an album. Every time. Shortly after. If you go look back at Nas' discography, Jay-Z is shortly behind or right before.
Okay.
It's one. This is just my conspiracy, but follow me.
As if we don't have enough conspiracy.
Yeah, but I noticed, and we're gonna get back on the subject. I don't want to go on a tangent. As soon as Usher got off stage, Beyonce dropped 2 country songs.
Okay.
I'm like, my boy can't have his moment. As soon as he get off stage, make a little caption, make a little post, and you got people heading over the Tidal. Shout out to Tidal. I like Tidal. It's my favorite listening DSP. But they petty.
But Beyonce, had a commercial, right?
Did she have a commercial?
She did. She was very prominent in at least one commercial.
Yeah, and then also she been dressing like a cowgirl for the past couple of weeks. We was all wondering why, but we see why now. But still, that's petty to me. Don't be dropping no song. Let Usher have his moment. Drop it the next day. In the same time frame. I don't like that. But
okay.
That's my conspiracy on that. But no, like you said, I feel like all of the outside parts played a major role in why this is now the highest ranking TV broadcast.
There's another element that I think we need to address about why the Super Bowl is at this new height in terms of viewership.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about sports gambling.
Okay.
And legalized sports gambling and all these places you can go.
Yeah.
And all these parlayed bets you can make. This has become, just where you bet on everything.
Yeah, yeah.
You could bet on what color Taylor Swift was going to wear.
Mm-hmm.
You could bet on what song Usher was going to start his set with.
Right. Yeah.
You could always bet on, is the first play going to be a running play or is it going to be a passing play? All these bets and, when it comes to betting, and I know Georgia is debating whether or not we should have legalized gambling. Um, I remember being in college when we decided to have the uh, the um, the lottery in
Okay.
Georgia, and that was a big debate.
Oh wow.
Can you imagine
You saw
Georgia
the
without the
lottery.
lottery? Um,
Wow.
we it was a debate.
And you got
Um,
to see that. You
oh
got
yeah,
to
I could
see.
see that play itself out in real time, and that's why it became connected to pre-K and it became connected to
Okay.
education
Okay.
because they wanted to say that, hey, if we're going to legalize and regulate betting, we're going to make sure that it pays something off that
Oh.
can be redemptive. Um, Betting always negatively impacts low income people.
Mm. Okay.
I mean, that's just statistically the reality that the people who get hurt the most
Hmm.
are people with low incomes, and in that way it becomes so exploitative. But now it's just
Yeah.
such a part of the landscape, and just because we have those disclaimers at the end of those commercials
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's
Yeah.
not hurting families.
Another thing I've realized, to your point, also me being a content creator,
Yeah,
these sport betting places are now trying to yoke up everybody with the following of some sort to do their commercials. So like there's an institution, I won't name it, but there's a commercial that's out. Um and all through the commercial it's nothing but social media influencers. Like all through there. Like I know some of those guys and they've even emailed to me, and their ploy is you do this for us, you get shares in the company. Tell people you're using it, but you get shares regardless. So now what we're starting to see is because they're trying to yoke up social media influencers, that speaks to the fact that they're trying to get younger people to bet. They're trying to
yeah.
start this, early because most of content creators' demographics are, let's just say, 25 and under.
I'm I mean, I'm hearing, like, I listen to a lot of talk radio,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and now we've got like complete programs. We used to have like segments on betting,
Mm-hmm.
but now they're like complete programs
Mm-hmm.
on what's the line for this
Yeah.
and why you should bet this, and I'm gonna give you my parlay of the week,
You can buy it if you want.
and
Yeah.
and I hear
Yeah.
people talking about, I'm gonna introduce my son to this, or I'm gonna
Wow.
introduce my child to this, and I'm gonna let my son make his first bet. And I think it's quite a fall from grace to kind of
Yes.
not be able to look at a sporting event without having a parlay on the line.
Right. And what is that doing to that kid? Like what is that doing to that kid when they growing up thinking everything has to have a monetary value as it relates to their choice? Or everything that they see they now have to put a dollar sign on. What does that do to that kid?
Yeah, yeah,
And then you have some people that that make it okay by saying, well, I'm showing them how to invest and I'm showing them what real world is. But no, it's okay to take calculated risk, but that's not one of them.
yeah,
And so now you have a kid growing up who assumes everything is attached to a dollar. You
yeah,
make this shot, I got $2 on it. You make this. I've seen people at the bowling alley put money on the table per strike or per how much you hit. So, you know, the one thing that I dislike about the whole gambling conversation is it seems like there's no line drawn now. As long as we can get you to invest in our app, we don't care the detriment that it causes. We don't care what it does to
yeah.
the people around you. We don't even care about the
The
age
long
no
the
more.
long term consequences of what we're doing now, um, we just don't know what they are.
And do people care?
Um,
You know?
it's always gonna be it's always gonna be somebody else's fault. So
Right.
who will pay the price for that? It'll be families. It'll be families that have to absorb the cost of that. And I just want to. I hope it's a conversation
Mm-hmm.
that people are having in their homes and with their children about all this sports gambling, because you can't. I mean, you can't listen to 3 commercials in a row without one of them being about sports gambling.
And there's other games where people bring to my attention to where I don't know the games specifically, but there's games where people put money into and they're betting on the app all day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, I mean, it leads me to a deeper question. And I don't think we was going here, but why has integrity left the business? And some people might say, oh, he's naive, he's young. It's never been integral. But I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs who are quite successful, but their integrity is still intact. There's certain stuff that they're not willing to do. There's certain stuff that they're not allowing to be done to them or to people. And that worries me a great deal, because now we're living in a nation where we just want the dollar. I don't care how we get it.
Yeah.
We just want it.
I'm going to answer that question. I want to come back to it, but I want to say quick shout out to old people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Usher is in his mid-40s. There was a whole bunch of 40 and 50 some odd year old people featured in commercials. Shout out to old people. Shout out to Killer Mike, who 48 years old. A sweep of the rap categories in the Grammys. And when did they stop airing live who won Rapper of the Year and who got the Rap Album of the Year? It wasn't even,
Yeah, it wasn't
on broadcast television.
Come on, take a
And so, congratulations to Killer Mike.
Congratulations to Killer Mike.
His son, I think, is in line to get a kidney as well. They got some good news on that. So, but it's unheard of for somebody 48 years old to be here in the 50th year of celebrating hip hop.
Yeah.
That's always kind of been a young man's game. So
not to call you old.
I'm older than Killer Mike. Yeah.
Is your generation of people getting younger? Or has the art left my generation and went with you all?
Well, we grew up with hip hop, so we old. We're old, and some of us are getting older than we ought to be at our age. But so the medium came with us.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Now I do got my take on the Grammys though.
Okay.
I was at one time a Grammy voter, and I do know that it is
I like the way you dropped that. Like that wasn't a big deal.
It's not a big deal because you can pay to get on the board.
I don't even know if I've ever met somebody who used to vote on the Grammys.
Dr. Lee, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you have $1,500, you can be a Grammy voter. It's not.
Okay.
It's not elite like people would think it is.
Okay.
You pay $1,500, you can be a part of the voting committee. Okay. We can all go right now and be Grammy voters. But it's a shout out to Killer Mike. Shout out to the people that won. But to the people that know what this is, it's just based off of whoever they put in front of you on that paper. So you have the ballot are pretty much like any sort of superlative ballot you get in school. Who class clown, X, Y, Z, X, Y, and Z. If you don't know the other 4, you're going to vote for the name that you know. It's the same thing with, I want to say it's the Emmys or the Oscars. You see how movies get nominated that none of us know?
Yeah.
It's the same concept. So shout out to the people that are travailing through that process. But to that point, I do feel like we need to really focus on our own, because we had the Source Awards. We have the BET Awards. We have these other places. NAACP Award. We have these awards. The Dove Awards, isn't that ours?
The Dove is Christian.
That's not ours?
Christian contemporary Christian gospel. Yeah.
The Stellars is ours.
Stella's
ours. But we have all of these awards, and it's like those kind of get like But the Grammy is only worth, I think they said $2 or $3. It's not real gold. It's none of that. But why is that the one that we are like, oh yeah, this is it? But if we get a Stellar Award, it's like, okay, we get a BET Award, all right. But the Grammys, who have constantly shown us that they do not care, why is that the prestige for us? I hate to rope you into this conversation, Dr.
No, I feel like the Grammys have respected the culture more than the Academy Awards ever have.
Most definitely.
So I would rank it Grammys, the Emmys, and then the Academy Awards.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, when you think of Michael Jackson having an armful of awards, he's got those Grammys. Those are iconic. Was it gold back then? I don't know.
Not even never gold, but yeah.
When you can go back 60 years and attach the artist to the award, that branding is just
But when you have a CEO or the leader of the board say, if you want to be voted in, you gotta pay to be on it.
Yeah, I mean.
But I don't want to make that a Grammy conversation. You see, it's the entertainment. I just never was I wasn't a fan personally of that type of stuff because I know.
So your question about morality again.
In business.
Say that question again.
Why does it seem like integrity has left business practices? Like, why is that at the bottom of the totem pole?
And I think, in politics, in business, one of the things that we have witnessed over the last decade or so is this notion that if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah.
That the hustle, that you got to be willing to do some dirt in order to be successful. And I think, that's a vestige of especially what we're seeing politically.
Yeah.
We're seeing people who get caught lying, who never confess, who get caught cheating and never you just.
Or they be like, yeah, I did it. And
It's we've rapidly become an amoral society.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen any consequences, really. There was an insurrection 3 years ago, and only the foot soldiers are the ones that have been arrested.
Yeah.
So, as long as people look like they can be successful cheating,
right?
Yeah, it'll continue to be.
So to that,
a moral dilemma for some.
Right. And I think a lot of, especially when we talk about business, it has to do with greed per se. Everybody wants the dollar. Everybody needs the most. So why is it that more people aren't exercising the faith that we proclaim that we have? Not us in general, but just as a broader scope to have the conversation. Because I'm honestly under the belief for real that God will provide. As long as I've walked my path and as long as I've done what God instructed me to do, I've always been okay. Why don't you see more people exercising the faith that they say that they have?
Well, and that's what, This Is My Extra is about. Faith can't be a waiting game.
Yes, sir.
Faith can't be passive.
Yes.
When the text says, 2 Thessalonians 1:11, that we need to, our good ideas and our acts of faith combined with God's energy, multiplied by God's energy, gives us, it's going to amount to something. And that whole faith without works thing is dead. But I think there's a lot of people who just standing around and waiting on God to trouble the water,
Yeah.
as opposed to getting in position
Mm-hmm.
and preparing ourselves for the day that God moves.
Right. So, which I think we're at a great point now. So it's like, how do we get people to move in their faith? How do we get people to understand that faith isn't just sitting and waiting? Like, start to prepare, start to get yourself ready for the move of God. Like, how do we get people to that place to understand to keep moving?
Well, certainly, preaching and teaching the word and
Yes, sir.
showing people that, we don't have, we really can't afford idle time.
Yes, sir.
You're either in it or you're preparing to be in it.
Yes, sir.
And, um, you're either building wealth or you're not, or you're losing wealth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're either building a base of wisdom and knowledge, or you and I, we say, hey, we need to always be reading something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's no idle time.
Right.
What are you reading now?
Well, now I'm reading Bible Doctrine by Wayne Grudem every
Oh, that
week.
sounds like an assignment.
No. But honestly, I say that jokingly, but I mean it serious. As we all know, I'm in seminary, and Dr. Ballwald is my professor for this class. He's provided us books that he says are not only for us to have as textbooks, but I'm trying to help you build your library.
Yeah.
So at first I was treating the book as just a textbook. But once I really started to just read the book on my own, I'm like, wow, it's a lot of stuff in here that is good to know. So I am on Wayne Grudem Bible Doctrine for myself and for school.
Yeah.
Because we only read certain stuff for school, but I'll just go and just keep going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really get excited when I talk about this book, because all it showed me was that I had an image of what pastoring was. I had an image of what spirituality was. I had an image of what God was. But what this book allowed me to do was stretch my mind into a place to where I'm realizing God is more multifaceted than what I thought, but it's causing me to go into a deeper study of him. What are the attitudes of God? What are the winds of God? What is spirituality? What is the Trinity for real? Like, how do you orate that to people? How do you all these things? It sparked me in a way.
Yeah.
To look at things and not just be able to say that I believe in God, but I tell you why. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love these parts of God, and not just the omnipotence and the omnipresence, but what does this stuff really mean? How does God really show up in the scripture? And that's what that book is.
And what are the theological consequences of how God shows up?
Yes.
And when God shows up, and who God shows up for.
And what does it mean to have a true theology? Because these are words that a lot of people throw around.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have this theology and we believe this, but what is the study of God? And that's what this book has given me. Because I always felt like I have my couple verses, I'm fine. But now I find myself like, no, how can I make this make sense?
And everybody's got a theology.
Yeah.
But not everybody knows the history of their theology and where it came from, and the role that it has played. And, not everybody is able to articulate their theology. If you have any idea about what God is and who God is, you have a theology.
Yeah.
But the question is, are you able to articulate it? Are you able to support it with scripture?
Right.
Are you able to understand the consequences of your idea of God? Because there are consequences for ideas.
Yes.
one of the books I'm reading is Stamped from the Beginning
Okay.
by Ibram Kendi, who is tracing the history of racist ideas.
Wow.
And one of the things that we have to contend with is that racist ideas were embraced and made pervasive by the church.
Yeah.
And
I was about
they had a theology that accommodated white supremacy.
Yeah. Some people think Christianity is a racist idea.
Some people think it's a racist idea.
Mhm.
And some people, there were people who thought that people of color had their own Adam and Eve, that we didn't have one Genesis story, that there were multiple, that white people had to have their own Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for us to have our own, for us to have their same Adam and Eve, it makes us look like, it made us look human.
Right.
So
Right.
Their theology accommodated that we were, there's no way we could be descended from.
Some people's theology teach that we're not from God at all.
Exactly.
You know.
So Ibram Kendi is what I'm reading. I'm also reading a book called Afro Nostalgia.
Hold on, you're reading 2 books at the same time.
At least 2, yeah.
You-
Probably a few more. But
Okay.
this lady, Badia Ahad Lagarde, Dr. Ahad Lagarde is the African American dean, the first African American female dean of Oxford College. Oxford
Wow.
College in Newton County is where the home of Emory is.
Right.
She's written a wonderful book. It's thick in its lexicon. It's written for the Academy, but it's about feeling good in contemporary Black culture. It's about the role of nostalgia. This whole idea of there being a preferred period in our past that brings us good feelings. It's an amazing book, and I'm still reading through it. And welcome to our community, Dr. Lagarde. So it's wonderful to have an African-American woman in that position.
Yes.
We know that Dr. Gay lost her job at Harvard
Yes.
after 6 months, and now we've got our first African-American woman at Oxford. We want to
We'll
make
be
sure
hosting
that
Oxford
she's
next
supported.
month, right here at the church as well.
That's going to be wonderful.
That's going to be awesome. But how are you able to read more than one book at a time?
Man, these you
Like-
have to do it in seminary.
But I mean, I'm also reading these because I have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I like reading, but it's the fact that you're able to. So, do you pick up one book one day, read a little bit, meditate on it, pick up another book the other day? Like, what is the routine of Dr. Lee reading multiple books?
I don't know if it's systematic in
Okay.
that way. I just, these books, they have there are moments where you're like, okay, let me just take that in. Let me just take that in. Like, for instance, I told the story out of this book about how Africans had a system of inoculating their children that Europeans didn't have.
Right. Yep.
And
yep.
and they refused to believe that Africans had a technology
Yeah.
that Europe didn't
They
have.
didn't have.
And
yeah.
they ended up having people die because they couldn't trust.
The origin of vaccination.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
So,
yeah.
The other thing that I'm just kind of sitting with is this whole notion that Phyllis Wheatley had to sit in front of 18 white men and be grilled before she could release her first book because they did not believe. It's not widely held believed. It was not a widely held belief that an African could write a book of poetry.
Wow.
So they had to attest
Together a board.
that it was her that wrote
Oh wow.
the poetry. And as I stated this Sunday in a message, it would be history. It would all be historical if there weren't people today who still believe these things. And there are people who are elected officials who are business leaders
Mm-hmm.
who really believe that the white mind is superior to the black mind.
Yeah. Are we getting I've been pastoring 45 years book from Dr. Lee?
Oh, no. I don't see myself pastoring 45 years. I'm at 25.
You got another 20.
But I got some stuff in me that I want to challenge the church. I want to challenge us to be a better church, to think of ourselves, to reclaim some of the value that we've lost in this culture of competition, in this culture of hustling and devaluing human, just human contributions. I feel like before it's all said and done, there'll be something in ink.
Okay, so 45 years.
45 now. That's 20 years from now. I still got to put Ellis through college. I'm gonna get that book out real quick.
But okay, I think we're at a good place. But I do want to ask you a pastoral funny question. I was asking funny questions. Is there friendly pastoral competition? Is that a thing?
I think I know why you're asking that.
Is there I say healthy between you and your friends? Is there how do I say this? Is there man? My music ministry is dope. This is what we doing over here. Is there hey man? You seen what my youth ministry doing now? Pay attention. Is there hey man?
That may be the reality for some other people. I don't touch that.
Okay.
I don't touch that.
Okay.
No, I'm pulling for people more than I am flexing.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot going on around here to flex about.
Mm-hmm.
And you're included in that. But I hope it serves as an inspiration to people.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. When I say healthy competition, I could say inspiration for a better term, but
yeah, collaboration. Being at a low point. I definitely am very conscious when I'm talking to my colleagues.
Oh, okay,
about
gotcha.
what appears to be something that I'm throwing in their face.
Yes, sir.
That they can't receive.
Yeah.
So
I think we've had a great conversation, and I'm trying to keep us down to our regular time frame because last podcast we went 50 minutes, right?
Yeah. What are we looking at now?
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure. I want to make sure we talk about our shoes real quick.
Oh, okay. All right.
You go first.
I have on another pair of Travis Scott's. These are Jordan 1 lows. Travis Scott. Like it. I like his sneakers.
Yeah. I'm wearing the throwback Timberlands.
But you got on the high. You got on I'm about to get out here
and stomp. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm wearing them today is because I'm wearing my Boondocks, Aaron Magruder Boondock sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
The Boondocks is a long-running comic strip series. There's a lot of obnoxious stuff in it. I'm not promoting anything obnoxious, but Boondocks, when I was in seminary, it was like one of the first black comic strips.
Wow.
In a national newspaper. And, I used to read it every night, and it was always like a critique of culture.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are today, kind of critiquing the culture and trying to see what it means for the kingdom of God. And I wanted to, during African American History Month, make sure that we send a shout out to
Got you.
the Boondocks.
And I want to try something different, Dr. Lee. I think at the end of the podcast, we should name our song of the week, whether gospel or other.
Song of the week.
What's your song of the week? What is the song if you're riding in your truck right now? What's the song you going to?
You know what? We got to give a shout out to Usher. And I got to tell you, my favorite Usher song is something that he re-recorded, Slow Jam.
Really?
Him and is it
it's not Beyonce.
no. Man, I had her name on top of my head. But she's local as well, isn't she?
She's local. Slow Jams.
Slow Jams with Monica. Yeah, Usher
Okay.
and Monica.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
That's a great rendition of a classic
okay.
R&B. R&B.
And my song of the week right now, I just can't get away from it, is Chris Brown, Sensational.
Really? Sing it.
Oh, no. I'm not going to be we're going to leave that alone. But it's something about the vibe of the music and Pastor Mike winning. That song came on by accident one day because I'm not the biggest fan of new age gospel music. I still like to have live instrumentation. I'm sorry. But that song came on, and when I heard it, I was just vibing before I knew it was a gospel song. And then when I heard it, I said, that's my new anthem right now.
Oh, I'm going to have to go check that out.
Pastor Mike winning. That's the one for
Can
me.
you say more about what's going to happen on February 23rd?
Yes. Y'all, weekend of February 23rd to the 25th, we are celebrating a year of youth ministry at Springfield since COVID. We rebranded as Next Gen, but on February 23rd in particular, we are having our first ever Bring Your Family and Friends to Church night. So February 23rd, right here in the Ministry Center, we are having a service to where you get to see the culmination of Next Gen and what these kids have been doing thus far. So I'm really excited about it. Kids are going to be singing. We have 2 kids giving words of inspiration. And we just get to sit back and just see what youth ministry looks like.
Fruit, yeah.
And what I'm really excited about is in a time where they say, and I'm not going to sound competitive, but in the time where they say teens aren't coming to church, I look out every week, and our numbers are growing every week. We're now starting to run out of chairs in here. That's what's happening.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Great.
So.
And there's a lot of chairs in here.
Yeah. So what I'm enjoying now is seeing God work and seeing God move. And God moved through this community enough to where now he's bringing more and more families to church, which in return is bringing more teens to church. So we get to see some kids that we ain't even know could talk are going to be up here that Friday. Some kids that we didn't know couldn't sing, couldn't pray, couldn't read. They're going to be up here on Friday. And I'm just excited to sit back and watch.
That's
I'm excited
excellent.
to sit back and watch. I'm excited to see what I get to see every Sunday we have service because these kids are growing leaps and bounds. And I know a lot of people don't get to see it except for our highlights and stuff, but between the podcasts that the kids have, the recap videos, the choir is growing every week. I'm really excited for the church to get a real preview.
And in as much as 123.7 million people saw the Super Bowl, it's conceivable that 123 million people saw the commercials featuring Jesus.
Yes.
And saw the foot washing and saw some benevolent images, saw some fellowship and some community built around the name of Jesus Christ. And it's important that our children have a place like this where they can unpack and have spiritual formation conversations.
Yes, sir.
as they develop their own theology.
Yes.
So,
And I'm excited. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for once again hearing from God to make all of this happen.
God is good.
And I was nervous, but now I see where we're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited.
Y'all give to Springfield Baptist Church,
Yes,
because
sir.
when you do, it blesses our children's ministry, our
Yes.
teen ministry. We're on PushPay, Givelify, Cash App, PayPal. Our number one portal online is Realm. When you come to church here on Sunday, you can drop that gift off. We encourage you to bring the entire family.
The entire family, because Springfield has a spot for all y'all. All y'all. But put that out there. We are a place for families. Everybody can come get saved. Come on.
Yeah. Well, peace, everybody. And congratulations again on the 1 year. And certainly we are grateful for what God has in store for year 2.
I'm excited. Y'all, peace out.
God bless.
Love you all.